Good afternoon, everybody. Looks like we're going to have a nice crowd here this afternoon. We're very excited to welcome everybody. I am going to try and share an agenda on PowerPoint for everyone to see, hopefully. We are joined today by our K-2 teachers, which is the most important part of today's presentation, as I've probably told a lot of you joining us today. This is very different from our virtual open houses because I run the virtual open houses, and we do usually have a couple of parents with us, which we have today as well. But at the virtual open houses, just like when we are doing in-person tours, we don't really have an opportunity to meet and greet and chat up the teachers, which this is the perfect opportunity for, because they're here today. You'll have their full attention. You'll be able to ask them any kind of questions. And we have the kindergarten, first and second grade teachers on board with us. This is Blake. Our assistant principal is not with us today. But I am Mrs. Phelps, Eileen Phelps. I'm the admissions person. So, with Mrs. Blake.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Blake. I'm the principal here at St. John's, our little hidden gem in the valley. I have been the principal here for 9 years. I've been in Catholic education for 20 and in education in general for over 30 years. I know you're thinking to yourself, she looks too young for that, but I just like to tell myself that anyway. But yes, so I have had the privilege of working with children for, a really, really long time. And St. John just possesses many of those gifts that you want for your children. Our vision here is to guide our children to Christ through foundations in faith, academics, and service. And you're going to hear a lot about that. We talk about how our teachers engage our students. We talk about our differentiated instruction. And this format really does give you a good idea from the teacher's perspective, what they do every day. And what I really like about this information session is that we're doing it from our school. So you get an idea, the teachers are actually in their own habitat. So you see a little bit of the classroom behind them. You see the wonderful things that they have on display because they just want to engage those children every day. And one of the privileges that I have each morning is as we are doing our health screening, which is part of our protocol since we are, living in the age of a pandemic, is our children just jump out of the car each morning and they're very happy to be here. And that just does my heart really good. It makes me know that our teachers are doing exactly what they're supposed to every day. So as we do all things, let us begin with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God, you have generously made known to man the mysteries of your life through Jesus Christ, your Son, in the Holy Spirit. Enlighten our minds to know these mysteries, which your church treasures and teaches. Move our hearts to love them, and we will live in accord with them. Give us the ability to teach this faith to others without pride, without ostentation, and without personal gain. Let us realize that we simply are your instruments for bringing others to the knowledge of the wonderful things you have done for all your creatures. Help us to be faithful to this task that you have entrusted to us. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now I'd like to introduce our faculty. I think I already covered our mission. This is our wonderful mission statement, and you can see that I already talked about some of those things, about our strong academic program, our formation in Christian values and service, and our diverse extracurricular activities. And you're going to hear from our teachers about their approaches to supporting each child's uniqueness. And as I said, our vision is that we're leading all our children to Christ. So our team, our primary team, we have our kindergarten teacher, Miss Kristen Brown. We have our first grade teacher, Miss Beth Varenko. And then we have our second grade teacher, Miss Marie McAllister. And I believe, Mrs. Brown, you're going to start us off with a little information.
Yes, I'm Kristen Brown, and I'm the kindergarten teacher here at St. John. I've been here for 5 years, and prior to that, I taught pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 for about 10 years, and before that, I taught first grade for 3 years. So, I kind of bring a good approach to where the kids are coming from and then where they need to go. I have my master's degree from Towson University in early childhood education, and I have 2 children. My daughter is here in 5th grade, and my son is a freshman at John Carroll.
All right, I will go next. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Oh,
You're good. Go ahead.
I'm Beth Varenko. I'm the first grade teacher. This is my 4th year here at St. John. My 2nd year as the first grade teacher, and the 2 years prior to that, I was the pre-K 3 teacher. And then 6 years prior to that, I taught in Virginia Beach, where I taught 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and kindergarten. I have a master's in early childhood education from Towson University. And I have, my daughter is here, pre-K 3, and I have 2 nieces here. One is in 1st grade, one is in 5th grade, and one will be coming next year into pre-K 3. So it's a family affair for us here, and we love it.
All right, I'm Marie McAllister. I'm the 2nd grade teacher. This is my 7th year here at St. John, 10th year teaching overall. Previously, I was the kindergarten assistant, and then I taught 1st grade in Baltimore City for a year. I have my Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education, Liberal Arts Technology from Stevenson University. I also have my master's and certification as a reading specialist. One of our goals at St. John is that we believe in preparing our students to be 21st century learners. What that means is we really focus our instruction on the students. We direct them to how to learn and help them find the information. Other than this year, it's very rare that you would walk around this building and find teachers in the front of the room just talking and talking for an extended period of time. We try to get the students to help guide their own instruction and ask really important questions to help themselves learn. We encourage them to be independent thinkers, critical thinkers, problem solvers. We emphasize being able to collaborate and have still tried to do our best to incorporate that this year. We give them chances to be creators and be able to communicate their understanding in a variety of ways. So one of our big goals is that we try to tailor our instruction toward each student. So one of the ways that we do that, especially in the primary grades, is we utilize the Daily 5 instructional model. So throughout our language arts block, the students will be in a small group lesson for a little while. They'll rotate through being able to do word work where they work on their vocabulary skills, their spelling skills, their phonics skills. They're able to work on building writing skills by writing short stories without a lot of pressure. They're able to practice their fluency by reading to someone, building their comprehension by reading to themselves, and really growing their reading skills by even able to listen to a fluent reader reading. We do the same thing in math, where they have chances to do independent math work. They're able to do games where they work with each other typically, and then math writing gives them a chance to really explain their thinking and show a variety of ways, because we have different ways that we can approach different math problems sometimes. And it gives them a chance to share ideas and different ways of thinking through those math problems. We are already small class sizes become even smaller when we differentiate instruction based on the needs we see in our students. We have flexible grouping, so students aren't streamlined into one specific group for the entire year. As we go through the year, if we think they need a little extra help in math or they need a little enrichment in math, they can be pulled out. Or sometimes the math resource teacher will push in and be able to do activities in the classroom. Same thing with reading. Usually during Daily 5, we do small group reading where they get instruction with the teacher. And then we also have an on-site reading specialist who usually will either pull out students as needed or even push into the classroom and come in to help with activities. Again, being able to provide either a little bit reinforcement if we think that a student is struggling a little bit in a specific area, specific chapter, skill, and then also being able to provide those enrichment and opportunities as well. And it's on to you, Ms. Franco.
All right. So as Ms. McAllister touched on the Daily 5 in our language arts area, these are all the areas that we focus on in language arts. I don't need to read them for you. You can all read, but this is the areas that we touch on. We group the students, we're able to group the students, and we have iPads where the students are able to pull up different books based on the level. So, one student might be a little higher than another student, but they're on their iPads looking at books, so they're not aware if other students are reading different level readers. So it's not, you're not singling anyone out or stuff like, or anything like that. We do spelling. I know in first grade, we have spelling test bi-weekly. And the words go with each unit that we do in reading. We do handwriting, which I know a lot of schools may not touch on handwriting, but we have handwriting starting, I think they even start working it in pre-K, but I know kindergarten up, we have books, and in second grade, they start cursive, which again is something that I know a lot of schools don't do anymore, and we still do that here. We have the reading specialist that will come in, and like Ms. McAllister said, they are able to work with a single student or groups of students or just provide additional support. When we have the students in the groups and we're rotating them, I have students that are working with me, and she will come in and just kind of, make sure students are focused and working on what they need to be working on, and kind of answering questions if they have questions, so that I'm not interrupted and I can teach the students I'm working with one-on-one. Obviously this year things are a little differently because of the COVID protocols, but we still have the iPads. We're still able to do this differentiated instruction and work with the students. So, we're still able to do that with all the new restrictions. For math, we practice all these skills. These are all things we touch on, and they'll touch on them in kindergarten. And then when first grade, we touch on them again, but more advanced, and again for second grade. And so they're skills that they learn throughout the years, but it gets more in depth as they go on. Again, we're able to differentiate between our students. We're able to, I know the math specialist comes in my room 3 days a week and kind of is an extra person to float around and help if I'm teaching a lesson and there's a student that is struggling, or if there's a student that needs more challenging work, she's able to provide that. She helps us, and I can reach out to her and say, I need help with this, or I need more challenging work for this. And she's always there to help us. We do whole group math instruction where we teach the lesson. Then they have time to do independent, individualized work where, again, you can differentiate for them, and they have their independent time, and I will be floating around the room kind of helping them and touching on things that they might need extra support with. And go to the next slide, Ms. McAllister. Thank you. Religion. Obviously, religion is something that we do throughout our day. That is something that we are lucky with being a Catholic school. We can talk about God all day long. We can bring it into lessons throughout the day. We start our day with a school-wide prayer. We go on the broadcast, the older kids come on our screens and read it, and we all pray as a school. We start our day with prayer. We pray before snack and lunch, and we end our day with prayer. We have school mass once a month where the whole school usually attends mass. And then we will have each class will go to chapel once or twice a month. Now this year, obviously things are slightly different. We're not going to the church, but every Tuesday now they stream mass, and we are able to watch Mass on our smart boards. And I love it because Father Pete actually acknowledges that we're there watching Mass today, and the students love it. And our father is amazing, and he's very involved with the children. He explains the Mass that the kids understand, and they love him. I can't say anything but great things about Father Pete. Social studies, these are all the topics we touch. Again, topics they'll touch on in kindergarten, they'll get more in depth in first grade, and so on in second grade. We're teaching, the kids about the world. This month, it's Black History Month, so we're doing a lot of that, teaching our kids about history and different aspects of that in the world around us. I know I touched on a little bit of with the election that happened. There's a little story called Grace Runs for President. It's about a little girl who runs for president in her class. So I read that book, and my students did a little project on Grace for President. And then for science, we touch on all of these. Again, my students are currently in the animals lesson, and I will tell you, I'm very lucky. I have a little boy in my class whose mom rescues sea turtles. And so she zoomed in with us the other day and showed us actually behind the scenes of the aquarium of sea turtles that she was rehabilitating. And then she just released them in Florida yesterday. So she sent us pictures of them releasing them in Florida. So, I mean, my kids, and I know next year she said, I'll come zoom in and do that again. So we're able to, we have just a great community where people are offering to help. And it just, I bumped up my animals unit a little bit so we could do this. And it's just, the kids have loved it. And it's just been amazing that we've been able to do that. And again, we're as hands-on as we possibly can. We'll do science experience. We have our science fair coming up, which every student from 3rd grade up does their own science experiment, and then grades 2, 1K, and pre-K does a class one, and then we will display them for the whole school to see. This year we're still going to do it, but it will be done. We'll have like a presentation where we can watch it. So we'll still be doing that. And then for math, I forgot. We do a lot of hands-on math, but again, obviously this year we can't share manipulatives. So each student has their own individualized box of manipulatives that they can use. So they still get the hands-on, they're just not sharing with each other. So we still follow the COVID protocol, but it's not affecting the way they're learning. We're still able to do the things we were able to do. We just, had to make some changes at the beginning of the year. And yep, that's what I have for that.
All right. So Miss Varenko and Miss McAllister obviously did an awesome job explaining our approach kind of behind this next slide here, which is talking on our focus on developing the whole child. We have a really well-rounded education here at St. John. You heard about all of the different academic areas that we focus on and our differentiated instruction so that we're making sure we can tailor instruction to meet the needs of all the different learners in the school. Religious education, as Ms. Marinko was saying, a big part of the school here. She told you all about going to church and chapel mass, just being able to integrate the religious aspect into the day is fantastic. One of the ways that we do that in a typical school year is through our prayer partner program. And this is one of the things that I love about our school. It enables us to partner up the younger children with the older children. And the older kids really just take such a great approach to it. I love seeing how they just take ownership and they take on these little ones. Typically, we'll have the older prayer partners come down and maybe read with the younger prayer partners. They take them to mass and sit with them and kind of, help them throughout the different parts of the mass so that they know what to do. They do different service projects together. It's really a great way for the kids to get to know one another and not just know, the kids that are maybe in your wing of the school being with kindergarten first and second. They get to see the older kids, and then the older kids, know all the younger kids, and it's just a great way to build the community. Another thing I wanted to bring up with socialization that I feel like is important is this year, obviously we're social distancing, we're not doing things in the typical way. But one of the things that I notice in my classroom in kindergarten is how the children still play with each other. It just looks a little bit different. They're sitting at their desks apart from each other, but one student will say, hey, so-and-so, will you play with me? And it's cute because they still play and they still make it work. Same thing with outside, we're separated when we're playing, but I had a couple girls that were playing tic-tac-toe with their chalk and they were just spaced apart from each other and still making that happen. So the socialization is still there, even though we can't do it the typical way that we're used to. We also talked about our hands-on interactive learning. We do have a lot of manipulatives that we're still able to use. Like Ms. Varenko said, they just have their individual boxes or bins that they have to utilize when they need them for different lessons. Community service and outreach is another thing that is a big part of the school here. One Tuesday a month, the students and families can participate in bringing in a bagged lunch that is then donated. There's a member of the church that will come and take all of those meals down to a shelter that will serve food for those in need. And it's a great way to get the kids involved and, becoming aware of helping others and knowing that not everybody has the things that they have. We've done a lot of other projects throughout the years. And even this year, we've collected money for cystic fibrosis. We have a staff member who has a baby with CF. And so that kind of hits a little closer to home. And it's a great way to, again, involve the kids and let them care for others. We also have a few things going on during Lent where we're collecting coins, and we have another pajama collection that's coming up as well. So just a lot of opportunities for the students to really see how they can help other people. As far as our technology goes, I think the other teachers commented on that as well, as far as having iPads in the classroom for the students to be able to use. They also do go to a technology class once a week with our tech teacher, and he just does a great job. The kids are having a great time. This year, it looks a little different. We have about half of the class go to technology while the other half stays in the classroom and does an extra music or an extra art activity. And then the following week, they'll switch. So my kids, for example, are working on learning to double click with the mouse and typing in their password on a computer, all of those things that are really going to benefit them as they progress throughout the grade level. As far as extracurricular activities go, we have a lot of different activities that are offered here at school. And I think, yep, there's our next slide. So these are all of the clubs and activities that are available for the kindergarten, first grade, and second grade students to participate in. You can see all of the great clubs that we have, and they really love being able to stay after school and participate in those things socially. And then I think we're ready for the next one. Just a little bit more about our response to COVID. So obviously things look a little bit different this year, but as you can hear from what we've all said, we've definitely made it work, and the kids are very happy to be here. Our desks are just in rows instead of sitting at tables. We do give them breaks from wearing their mask. When we go outside, as long as they're spaced apart by 6 feet, they're still able to take off their masks. And then in the classroom, we'll give them breaks by rows so that every other row is getting a break, maybe for 10 minutes at a time. Also, when we eat lunch and have snack, we have shields that the students put up at their desks so that they kind of stay inside that shield just to keep everybody safe. Our station activities are more independent, so they're still using those manipulatives and using things that they would during, the typical daily 5 or daily 3. They're just doing that at their seat independently instead. And then, as we said, we have resource teachers available too, who just come into the classroom. So the reading specialist comes into the kindergarten classroom about a half hour each day. Sometimes she'll work with an individual student who might need a little more support. And other times she just helps out so that I can pool students to do, different things that I need to do. Our iPads, we have a 1-to-1 ratio for the iPads in second grade. So every student does have an iPad available to use. And then kindergarten and first grade, we rotate to go to the tech lab, and we have that extra art and music time. And then when we go out for recess, everybody has their own individual recess bag. So they have, you know, a jump rope or bubbles and chalk, just different things that they can play with outside. And like I said, it doesn't end up being everybody sitting playing by themselves. They really do still play together, just in a little bit of a different way.
I was hoping at this time we could pull in our parents. And this afternoon we have Lane Bryant, who you can see is she has 3 children with us, Braxton in grade 1, Raleigh in kindergarten, and Sage in pre-K 3. And then after Lane speaks, hopefully I see Denise is in the webinar. I'm hoping that she can hear us and she'll join us and give her perspective as well. She has a daughter in grade 2. Good. Hi, Denise. So Lane, would you like to start and share a little bit about, you know, what about St. John's School has worked for you and your children?
Sure. Hi, so I'm Lane. As you can see, this is my youngest. Gotta be quiet, okay? Okay, thank you. So I currently have 2 students, kindergarten and first grade with Miss Brown and Miss Franco. And we love St. John's. I think from the second we toured St. John's, we just knew it was a right fit for our family. We really love the close-knit feeling of just everybody knowing each other, getting to have really good relationships with the teachers and the staff and other parents. And for us, that was a big reason why we chose private over public, because we are Carroll Manor, which is a wonderful school, but we just wanted to kind of see what St. John's had to offer. And after our first tour, we pretty much came home and applied because we just knew we just had a really great feeling from the beginning. And also it helped that some of the older students were there when we did the open house tour. So it's such a bummer that we can't do in-person events right now, because the older students kind of took the kids under their wing while the parents got to talk to the teachers, talk to the students, and our kids loved it. And that really, when the kids came home, that made an impact on them, that these older kids took to them and did activities with them and read to them. So us parents could really get the full effect of the school before we applied. So I think that is a huge reason why we chose St. John's. Also, our kids are so happy there. I know that this year I think everybody was a little nervous how things were going to go. And I remember picking our kids up the first day, and as soon as they took their masks off, they were just all smiles. And I remember all day thinking, oh my goodness, how is everything going to go, especially with masks? So from the beginning, it was just a really great experience with the new COVID protocols. And I think the staff, the students, the teachers, everybody has really just adapted to what's going on right now. And I've just been so impressed, and we're very, very happy with everything.
Could you speak to like, did we do a good job of welcoming you and your family, providing information when you were a new family, introducing you to people, those kinds of things?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Welcoming process.
Yeah. I feel like the communication is 100%. I feel like we got so many emails. When we first entered last year, I got a call from the current room moms just welcoming us to the classrooms. So there's room parents for every grade. So I got a phone call from the room parent just saying, hey, we're so excited that you're joining our class. If you have any questions, here's my number. Please reach out to us. And we did, not this past summer, but when we first joined the summer prior, they also set up some play dates. So it was nice having the parent interaction, and also just the staff. I feel like we had so much information given to us. We knew exactly what was going on. So the communication is wonderful.
That was great, Lane. Sorry about that.
Okay. And then the other thing real quick is Mrs. Blake, my middle daughter really struggles with getting out of the car in the morning. So usually she was looking forward to the safeties because they have the older students that are safeties that will help get the children out of the car, get their backpacks on so they can walk up to the door. So this year, she's really struggled getting out of the car. And Mrs. Blake, I'd say probably 3 of the 5 mornings every single week will come to our car, help Raleigh get out of the car and walk her all the way up to the door. So, and she sometimes even before we get to school, she'll say, I really want Mrs. Blake in the morning. Like she just knows the days that she's struggling and she just brings a smile to Raleigh's face and really helps her ease her way in. So, which we appreciate. And I think it shows how great from the top of having the principal involved 100%.
You know, that's because we talk about fashion every morning. So we're fashion buddies.
Oh, she's a fashionista. So, but I appreciate it. So if anybody, whoever's listening, that's just, you can see that I think it's just a well-rounded program and it starts from the top and everybody treats our children the same way.
Thanks, Lane.
Thank you.
Denise, would you like to share your thoughts about when you first came with Darling Kenna to St. John?
Yes, my ball of energy. Kenna started there when she was in, can you hear me okay? Oh, yay. I'm actually in my classroom for the first time in a year. So I'm trying to see how this is working here. When Kenna started there when she was 3 years old, it was a very, very small class. And fortunately, that class is growing and growing and growing. I don't know if Miss McAllister loves all the big growth that used to be a little tiny group. But her experience there from day one, being a teacher myself, I always tell parents the worst day is not the day when they run out of the car or when they hang on you and they don't leave you. It's the day when they run out and they never look back because they're so excited. And she ran out of the car from day one. I never had oh, my baby misses me. No, she was so excited and was always so welcomed there in every grade. And the connection with the older students is just amazing. She remembers every prayer partner from when she was 3 and who their siblings are. And she wonders how they're doing in high school and why they ever have to go off to high school. It's terrible. But she is thriving so much there. She's challenged academically. I noticed somebody ask about grades and that sort of thing. And being an educator, I would think that I would always be looking for the grades, but I'm looking more at the whole child and she's doing amazing. But I know if I ever have a question, is she struggling on something? It's a quick email to the teacher and you get a response back right away on anything they can do. And that has been since she was 3 all the way up. Now she's in 2nd grade. And I know if there's any issue on the academic piece that I'm going to know about it right away so that I can help address that and I'll know what is being done for it. So I never have any worries about the academic piece of it. All of the students are challenged at their level, it seems. She doesn't really know where her friends are, which I see in a lot of classrooms. Everybody knows who's in which group. That there's more of a sense of community that they're all working together. And it's really amazing. The teachers do a really great job of supporting all the students at their level and challenging them when they need and supporting them when they need that. I just think it's amazing. The COVID response has been wonderful. The safety and has always been amazing at the school. But I mean, when she came home the first day and I was teaching virtually from our playroom, she was so excited because she got to play with a ball that was attached on a string. So they got to throw them towards each other, but they just caught their own ball again. And I was like, oh, that's so sad. And she's like, it was so cool. And I was like, they're presenting it in a way that is so amazing and it's working out for them. Her connection with the church is stronger. And I know a lot of that is because of the school. And I love that support there. And I just feel like I can, if I need help, I can turn to anyone there and they're going to help me out with it. She loves it. You know, I love it. I'm trying not to cry because I'm sitting in my empty classroom here by myself, but I always do, just because it is, it's such a great place for her. She has, you know, amazing friends. She's, you know, looks for these people everywhere. And she knows people in all of the grades. So it's not as isolated, I've noticed, and being around academics. A lot of the times in some of the smaller schools, the kids kind of just hang with their group. She knows children in all the grades. And even this year with their kind of being socially distanced and everything, she still has such a caring for everyone. And it's so nice to see that.
Thanks so much, Denise. I really appreciate it. We do have a couple of questions that I think will probably be best handled by the teachers. The first one is, how and how often are parents updated on their children's progress in K-2?
I'll touch on that one and then anybody can jump in. We use a program called Power School, which we are able to, we put in the students' grades and parents have access to that. You will get a login in the beginning of the year and you are able to log in and see your child's grades throughout the year. We also, in grades 1 and 2, sent out interim reports. So halfway, we have 3 trimesters, and in the middle of each trimester, we send out, you'll get, you know, a kind of like a little report card about how your child is doing. So you know that, you know, before the end of the trimester. But also, if there's ever an issue throughout the year, anytime I know I do, and I know all the other teachers do, we reach out to you individually. You know, we'll send you an email, we'll call you on the phone, or if you have concerns, you can reach out to us. I know, you know, I've had a few parents reach out to me and say they're noticing things at home. They're curious if I'm noticing that in school, if I have any concerns, if I have any suggestions, if, you know, there's anything we can do. But we work really closely with parents. We're a team. We work with you to do what's best for your child, and we all want your child to succeed. That's all of our goals, is to have your children succeed and be happy. So we are definitely we have very good communication with our families about everything, about grades, about you know, social stuff, emotional stuff. We want to make you aware of what's going on in the day and vice versa. And then again, I guess that kind of answers the report card question. In the past, we handed out paper report cards. Now Miss Blake's shaking her head.
No, I mean, we used to hand out paper report cards, but everything is distributed to you through the portal. But obviously, I've had requests to actually do a printout, and we would do that. I also want to add for updating a student's progress. So if there is a concern about a student's progress, we have a student advocacy team that there are times that if a teacher is concerned about a child's progress after talking with the parents, that person can be, you know, brought to the attention of our student advocacy team. And that is when we would bring in our reading specialist if we are looking at a reading issue, and she could come down and do some individualized testing. Starting in 2nd grade, we use the Scantron platform system, where students take a progressive standardized test. And they do this 3 times a year, and it allows our teachers to go in to evaluate a student's progress. And then we can actually make individual goals for students to make sure they are meeting their targeted goals. So that is an opportunity for us to measure a student's progress. And at the end of the year, starting in 2nd grade, we actually give a report to the parents to show the child's standard progress over the school year.
And we have another question that I think I'm going to get a lot of feedback from everybody on our panel. person asks about they're trying to choose between public and private education and asking what would you say is the major difference between the two and what advantage would you say there is in choosing private or public?
I'll start. I just, I was looking at this question and kind of thinking, for me, the difference between the two, especially here, is that it really feels more like family and it's such a good community. Everybody knows everybody. Once you have one child in a family, then that child moves on to the higher grades, and then you may get a sibling, and just knowing students and their siblings, and it feels like a big family. So for me, I think that that's the biggest advantage of being here over public school. Another thing, just from my experience in teaching in both public and private, in public school I was definitely more you stuck to the exact curriculum that you were given, and there wasn't a lot of room to differentiate from that. Whereas here, the teachers can look at the individual students in their classroom and kind of tailor the instruction to meet the needs of that student, using different resources that we have. So that's, for me, what I think the biggest difference is.
Would you like me to talk about it?
Sure, Denise.
I am a early childhood educator with the county. I have taught 3s, 4s, kindergarten, and this year I am in 1st grade, and also taught 3rd grade. So I've been all over that early childhood in the public school. I honestly thought when my daughter started there that kind of would go there for preschool, pre-K, maybe kindergarten, because I wasn't liking the idea of all the testing that they do in the public school, which I don't find as meaningful. Yes, you guys test them, but you test them so that the teachers can make plans with that. A lot of the public school testing is sent off to somewhere, and 6 months later, the school gets it back and it has numbers, but it doesn't add meaning to the teachers. St. John's, if a child is being tested, it's for the purpose of seeing where they're going and helping them get to the next level. I think also the class sizes are a big thing. I know that some of the rooms could at any time fit some more children, but I just feel it's a strong plan that St. John's is a small school and it's not going to try to be something different than a small school. It's never going to lose that feel to it. And in a public school, there might be 20 kids in your classroom one day, but the next few times it might go up to 30, 35. And there is a lot of, the curriculum is what the curriculum is. I know the teachers at St. John's, if there's an interest in a family or a big event, they can take that and teach the needed skills for that grade level within the context of like Ms. Franco's turtles. She used those things to teach other things, and the skills that are needed. And that flexibility is so valuable because the children become invested in that. They want to learn. And I always say it's kind of like sneaky teaching. They're getting in all those great academic skills that they need, but it's within a topic of their interest, and they really buy into the learning piece. They don't even realize. I always ask, what did you learn about? And Kenna's always, oh, we didn't learn anything. We were talking about this. And then she knows something. I'm like, oh, so that's what you were learning. So, it's the amazing flexibility and support that the staff has is, it was a no-brainer.
Thanks, Denise. Lane, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of piggyback off of what Mrs. Brown said about how like the flexibility of kind of catering to each child. Like our youngest daughter has a speech delay. So I was really nervous about her even starting school yet, because I was worried about the teachers not being able to understand her, if she was even going to be able to really learn as much as she could because she can't communicate. And the pre-K teacher has been phenomenal in just figuring out her lingo and figuring out her ways of learning to make her succeed. So she's not frustrated and she's not like irritated when nobody can understand her. So it just really shows that the teachers can work with each student.
I'm going to take this chance to weigh in to that question about public versus a Catholic education. And I'm going to say a Catholic education because that's what we actually do here. And as a product of Catholic school, and my children went to Catholic school, you know, it was a really big financial investment for our family. And the reason, kind of what, you know, made us believe in Catholic education is really the Christ-centered values. And that has meant so much to my husband and I as we've watched our children grow and we've watched them become adults and have to make choices in their lives. And this moral grounding that they've had just from the education that they've received has been a gift, and we feel so blessed. And as I say that and say it, it is an investment. It is something that, you know, you have to really think about as you move forward. We do have opportunities, and I know Mrs. Phelps will talk about that we want every child to have the opportunity to have a Catholic education. So we like to think that we try to work with our families so that, you know, as many children as possible can kind of like live this light of Christ each day by coming to our school.
Thanks, Mrs. Blake. I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple of questions. One is how many children are typically in a class. So our self-imposed limit is 22 in kindergarten and 25 in grades 1 through 8. This year, our self-imposed limit was no more than 20 per class. And that again was self-imposed. That was due to the pandemic so that we could spread children out and keep them safe. We are moving back to 25 tops in our grades K through grade 8 for the fall. That's our plan, and that's why we've been able to accept new students for the fall. As far as, there's another question about clubs. The clubs that were listed, we have lots of clubs pre-COVID, and post-COVID we will too. We have been unable to have clubs this year because due to our COVID protocols, we're maintaining those pods. So you can't have a after-school activity where grades, you know, K1 and 2 are mixing together. So we aren't having activities this year, but I can tell you previously that running club was a huge hit, and not just with the younger kids that we're talking about, but that went right up through grade 8. And part of that is that, like Miss Brown was talking about, that not just for the pair partnering program, but through the running club, there's a lot of interaction, top and, you know, a vertical interaction between the children and making friends that way. So technically the clubs are not part of our aftercare. We do provide aftercare, and children can participate in clubs and then go to aftercare, but they're basically two separate entities. The kindergarten curriculum, is it similar to the academic program at public school? So I'm going to throw that back to Miss Brown and let her answer that.
I can help you on that, Mrs.
Great.
Brown. You know, all curriculum that is created in you know, the state of Maryland, across the United States, you know, we look at the state standards and benchmarks as well as the national standards and benchmark. So we all are going to touch on those benchmarks, but our curriculum, the Archdiocese of Baltimore curriculum, we meet those standards, but we exceed them. So within our curriculum, those standards are there, but we extend those standards. Our curriculum doesn't necessarily totally line up with, you know, we have a map that we follow for what topics are covered. it's not going to happen at the same time period. I can tell you one thing in our younger grades, especially I'm looking at mathematics. We do work on, we're skill driven. So our students will, memorize their math facts, and they will memorize their multiplication facts, because there are those foundational skills that they need. However, they also do exploratory math. And that is something that I know Mrs. Brown can talk about, because as observing her often in the classroom, how even in her kindergarten class, she is working with them on how do they solve problems by math or through word problems. They're solving, this, different problems that they need to do, using manipulatives, using words, doing mental math, that we have them doing, and to really extend their experience at even a very low age. So I don't know if any of the other teachers wanted to weigh in.
I taught kindergarten last year for the county, and my daughter was in first grade, so I had just experienced her with the kindergarten curriculum. And yes, a lot of the skills are the same, that are just standard. This is what a 5, 6-year-old should know. But St. John's does such an amazing job of touching on both of those things, that hands-on, get involved with exploring math, which is very much what is in the county's curriculums. But they do put in that concrete. We need a strong foundation, which honestly, I think kind of lacks sometimes in the public schools, because they are stuck within that curriculum. And I really see that the St. John's extends any expectations. They will go far beyond that. And they will also make sure that all of the children are there. They don't let anybody fall behind on that. They meet everyone where they are, and really will extend them to where they need, not based on, oh, we checked that off on the curriculum, we're done. If you need to dig deeper, and they're there for you. And I put that on the teachers and the administration, that they really allow that to happen and make sure that it does happen for the students. It's just, I think it's an amazing way. It gives them it keeps all the students engaged, and nobody falls through the cracks there.
Thanks, Denise. I'm trying to be conscious of time, and I know we're closing in on 4:30. So if we can address just a couple of other questions that are in the chat. I'm going to handle a couple. There's a few questions with regard to actually what's on the slide right now, which is, where are we as far as admissions and acceptances? So we proceeded this year like we do every year. We did early admissions, which means those applications that were completed and received prior to Christmas were reviewed, and we accepted students for the fall in January. We just yesterday reevaluated, because we had some students, their families decided, opted out. Either they were moving or they had chosen another school. So we ended up having a few more spots available, and we sent out acceptances today to fill those spots. In answer to, do we have seats available? I definitely have. We are accepting applications in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, definitely. There's a possibility that there may be some younger grade acceptances. Quite frankly, 1st grade, we were only able to accept younger siblings of our current families. So I don't expect I will have any 1st grade. All of that being said, it doesn't, I don't expect to have a lot of openings. But one thing I've learned over this last year is that just when you think you know what's going to happen, something else happens and it upsets the apple cart, and you have to revamp. So I can only tell you right now where we're at and what I see as possible openings down the road. That being said, I expect that we will have some openings in April. April 1, we send out our contracts for the fall. Families have basically 2 weeks to sign those contracts and pay their deposit of $300. It's a non-refundable deposit, and it does go towards tuition for the fall. I expect that we'll have some people fall off then, people who currently now say that they're coming, but between now and April 15th will change their minds. So I expect that we will have some openings. Now, whether they are in the grades that you're interested in depends. Who knows? The other thing, I could tell you some of the things that we look at when we are evaluating for acceptances at this point in time, because the open spaces are so few and in different grades. Are you a school families? They always get priorities. Are you a parishioner of St. John Parish or an area parish without a school? So like St. Mark's or St. Mary's in Pilesville. We also look at alums. They can go up, a little bit higher too. We look at application date. We've had some families that have been with us applied last summer for whom we did not get in. So we are considering that. We're looking at if you had a 4th grader and a 6th grader, do we have both seats? What is our boy to girl ratio? So there's a lot of factors. And I haven't even mentioned the academics. So there's a lot of factors that we consider. I wish I could tell everybody, you've got a 90% chance of getting in, or you have only a 10% chance of getting in. I would not do that at this point. If you're interested, and I know people are putting in applications at multiple schools, we certainly welcome your application. We can move it along. We can get records from the school so that if and when there is an opening, your child can be considered. Mrs. Blake, would you like to add anything or modify anything that I said there?
No, I think you did a great job. Is it okay if I answer one question that was in the chat since you finished with the application process? I have a question about if a child is struggling in math or reading and then they get caught up and they're accelerating, are they being reevaluated? Well, that is one of the beautiful things about our school is we do not group students. We do flexible grouping. So we're looking at students, sometimes it's per unit. So you can have a child that's excelling in an area. I always say sometimes this happens in 3rd grade where we'll have students that, really are accelerating in multiplication, but for some reason we get to division and they're not quite sure, so they might need a little more support. So it's a constant flow. We're constantly doing formative assessments to see where our kids are, to make sure we're teaching what they need to know. And those kids, if they already have it, then we make sure that we enrich them. And those students we know that don't have it, that we're making sure that we give them the support that they need.
Could I ask you to also answer a question with regard to clubs and after school activities for next year?
Right now, we have to stay the course. We are very lucky. We are in person every single day. And I will tell you, percentage-wise, we have the most in-person learners of any Catholic school in the Archdiocese of Baltimore. We only have, I think it's 12 students that are currently online. So all our students, and one of that reasons is because we did our cap and we made sure that we stayed small and we kept as many students as we could in person learning. Right now, we want to make sure our kids are coming to school, and that's our priority. Well, we are given information that indicates that we can start moving away from our pods, and by pods, keeping the kids in their grades. They're not, that's just a mitigation strategy. By doing that, we really have have had a lot of success. We haven't had any at all transmission of COVID in our school. Any COVID that has happened in families outside of our school. And, that's because of all the things that we are doing. So we're going to stay the course right now. We're looking possibly at some summer clubs, but as soon as we are given the go ahead and the numbers are down and it's safe to do so, then we will start up clubs again.
We've addressed all the questions in the chat or the Q&A. If anybody who is still with us has any additional burning issues or questions, there's my email address. And of course that's my cell phone number there as well. And of course you can call the school. I'm on extension 101. I would encourage anybody who's interested also, this was an information session. You're also invited and encouraged to attend our virtual open house. That will be later in the spring, and you can find the details about that on our Visit Us page, which is under admissions across the main tab on our website. So I want to, first of all, thank all of our parents who joined us this afternoon. I hope that we have given you a little bit of an insight. I feel for you that you're not able to walk the building and meet our teachers in person and see them interacting with the students, because believe me, they will sell you on St. John's when you see them in person. But at least it gives you a little bit of a taste. And of course, I want to thank our teachers for doing double time today. And again, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to give me a call tomorrow and I will answer them for you. Thanks, everybody, and have a great evening.